Hollywood legend Clint Walker, famed for his towering presence as Cheyenne Bodie, faced far more than gunslinging showdowns on screen. Behind his iconic Western persona lies a devastating untold story, one filled with near-death experiences, personal heartbreak, and shocking revelations that will leave you stunned. As new details emerge about the beloved actor's turbulent life, fans are left grappling with the question, how much can one man truly endure? Clint Walker's humble beginnings. Clint Walker began his career not as a cowboy hero. Born in a tiny town known as Hartford, Illinois on May 30, 1927. Though his actual name was Norman Eugene Walker, everyone called him Clint. Clint's family had little growing up during the Great Depression, but they had something even more vital: determination. Clint's parents advised him to be honest, diligent, and never give up, even in trying circumstances, because for the rest of his life, Clint would carry these teachings with him, molding the strong, courageous man he would grow to be. Clint was unique among young boys as he was large for his age. He enjoyed being outside, embarking on adventures, and fantasizing about one day creating something significant personally. But small-town living was not easy, particularly for someone with lofty goals. Growing up, Clint worked several occupations, each one imparting fresh knowledge. He worked on riverboats, as a doorman, and even as a bouncer in a Las Vegas nightclub. These early encounters gave Clint a strong work ethic and taught him to understand people, which would be invaluable later on when he tried to enter Hollywood. Early life taught Clint, among other things, the lesson that nothing comes easy. Even if the road is not obvious, you have to work for what you desire. This course of instruction enabled him to keep on even if the road to stardom was not clear. No matter how tough things got, Clint knew he was not the kind of man to quit up. Breakthrough in Hollywood. Following several jobs and saving money, Clint Walker decided boldly to travel to Hollywood. Though he had little acting experience, his presence was something casting directors and producers would not overlook. Standing 6 feet 6 inches tall with wide shoulders, a strong voice, and sharp eyes, Clint looked every bit like the cowboy hero you would find in films. Hollywood first spotted him not too long ago. Landing the lead in a brand new TV drama called Cheyenne gave Clint his big break. This program focused on the exploits of tall, tough cowboy Cheyenne Bodie, who traversed the Wild West serving others and confronting risk head-on. Clint felt like the character, hence he was ideal for the part, not only acting. On film, his cool and stern demeanor helped viewers to believe he was the real deal. Cheyenne became among the most watched TV shows of its day very fast. Every week, people all across tuned in to see tall cowboy Clint take on bandits, save villages, and defend the innocent. Children longed to be like him, and adults respected his quiet strength and courage. With people calling Clint Cheyenne even off-screen, his performance was so strong that he became a household name. Still, Clint's road to fame wasn't without challenges. Western TV shows were immensely popular back in the 1950s and 1960s, and numerous performers fought for the same parts. Though Clint led Cheyenne, he sometimes found himself unable to maintain his position in a sector undergoing fast change. Stars abound in the Western genre, and there was intense rivalry. Clint had to put in effort to keep current and uphold his reputation. Though viewers adored Clint Walker on screen, behind-the-scenes events were not always seamless. Particularly during the golden age of Westerns, the entertainment business might be challenging. Clint was part of a show that involved long hours, difficult stunts, and a lot of physical labor. He was not only a celebrity. Filming Cheyenne sometimes involved working in hostile outdoor environments where long days, heat, and dust made things more challenging. Besides that, Clint had to cope with difficult contracts. Actors in those days did not always get the finest terms, and Clint discovered he was bound into contracts with limited independence. He had control over which other projects he could work on while filming Cheyenne and paid less than he deserved. For someone who had put so much effort into reaching where he was, this was aggravating. Clint never let these difficulties show on film. He kept his supporters amused and devoted by delivering stirring presentations. He wanted not to let people down since he knew they depended on him. His diligence paid off as he became a legendary Western actor appreciated for his tenacity, honesty, and fortitude. Experiences behind the scenes helped Clint learn even more about the need of tenacity. Whether it was negotiating demanding contracts, hard hours, or pressure to keep his career intact, Clint never stopped. He came to represent what it is to be diligent and never give up, no matter how tough things become. Clint Walker's near-death experience, the skiing accident. The rugged cowboy from Cheyenne, Clint Walker, once came quite near to death. As said, Clint was having a great day skiing in the Waxy Mountains in 1971. On long, flat boards known as skis, skiing is a sport whereby one zooming down snowy hills. Clint enjoyed outdoor pursuits, and one of his particular favorites was skiing. But today, something horrible occurred. Almost costing him his life, he suffered a major accident. Clint lost control and crashed while he was skiing down the hill. He fell really forcefully and suffered great injuries. The saddest aspect is one of the ski poles he was carrying struck him so forcefully in the chest that his heart was really punctuated. That implies that the pole created a quite serious hole in his heart. Many believed Clint would not be able to endure such a terrible damage. The doctors didn't believe Clint would make it when he was hurried to the hospital. His injuries were so severe that multiple procedures were needed to save him. Working fast, the doctors corrected his heart and other accident-related damage. Clint was in absolutely terrible form, and he needed all the knowledge of the physicians to recover. Amazingly, though, Clint healed rather than only surviving the injury. Clint battled through it all and began to heal even though he had a hole in his heart and underwent several surgeries. It resembled a miracle. Everyone found his strength to be really remarkable. Like the TV cowboy heroes he portrayed, Clint proved in real life that he was tenacious. People would not stop raving about his amazing recovery, lingering health problems, and challenges. Though Clint survived the tragedy, returning to normal life proved difficult. He still felt the consequences of his damage even after he left the hospital, since the accident left him with unresolved medical issues. His physique wasn't as robust as it used to be, and he couldn't sprint around or perform stunts for his acting parts, among other things he liked. His acting career suffered as well from the mishap. Clint found some jobs more difficult, as he couldn't move as he used to. Remember, Clint was well known for his huge, rough cowboy demeanor. Cowboy's work involves lots of action scenes. Still, Clint refused to let these obstacles stop him. He discovered fresh approaches to maintain acting and stay strong, even if he had physical restrictions, meaning his body couldn't accomplish what it used to. People were astounded to learn of Clint's injury and amazing recovery. The fact that their preferred cowboy was all right made fans all over thrilled. Many wrote letters to him wishing him well and supporting him. Like the characters he portrayed on TV, they found inspiration in his bravery and fortitude. People respected Clint's tenacity and not giving up even under really difficult circumstances. Newspapers, periodicals, and news shows all carried stories of survival by Clint. That he had returned from such a life-threatening accident astounded his supporters. People started to believe that everything was possible if you stayed strong and happy, since Clint could heal and go back on television. Clint Walker saw life from a fresh angle following the catastrophe. Nearly dead made him consider what truly important. He came to see how valuable life is and the need of appreciating every minute. Knowing he had a second chance, Clint didn't want to squander it. The accident, he added, strengthened him on the inside as much as on the outer. Clint started to really respect his family, friends, and the small pleasures of life. He felt he was destined to live and tell his tale to motivate others, and that the accident occurred for a purpose. Every day he had to spend doing the activities he loved, acting and being outside. Clint felt appreciative. The crash was an extremely emotional experience as much as it injured Clint physically. Almost dying may be frightening, and following the accident, Clint had to sort through a lot of emotions. But Clint resisted allowing anxiety to rule. Rather, he took solace in his faith and in considering the whole picture of life. He thought he survived for a reason, and that his life still had significant events to go through. Clint discovered calm by his faith. He concentrated on repairing his heart and mind as much as his body. This made him a more calm and contented person. He refused to allow the trauma, the frightening memories of the accident, diminuate his happiness. Rather, he grew even more powerful with it. The mishap also drew Clint nearer his beloved ones. Something frightening might serve as a reminder of the value our family and friends bring. During his recuperation, Clint's wife, children, and friends were at his side, helping him at every turn. Experiencing something so significant let him value those relationships even more. Personal losses, family tragedies. Losing his twin sister Lucy was among the most devastating experiences Clint Walker experienced in his life. Beyond mere sisterhood, twins have a unique relationship. For Clint, Lucy was his lifetime friend as much as his sister. Their friendship is really strong and unique since they grew up together, sharing everything from birthdays to memories from early years. Clint was inconsolable when Lucy died. It like losing a piece of myself. Their relationship was so deep that her death caused a great hole in his heart. Often thinking about their time together, he missed her in his life. For many years, this melancholy stuck with him, influencing his perspective of the world and causing him to treasure the times he spent with those he loved. Being twins made Clint and Lucy like two sides of the same coin. They simply knew. They did not have to speak much to grasp one another. Years of common experiences, inside jokes, and the kind of knowledge only twins can possess helped to create their bond. Clint felt as though part of Lucy was absent when she was gone. It was losing someone who had always been there, through all phases of his life, not only a family member. Deep loss made him more introspective. He took Lucy's memories with him on his path. Following Lucy's passing, Clint started to give his time more careful thought. Losing someone so close helped him to understand the need of living each minute counts. He spent more time savoring the little pleasures of life and his family. Her death let him see life differently and realize how brittle life actually is. Later on, Clint aimed to concentrate on what was important. The love and encouragement of his family gave him strength. He carried the lessons from his loss with him. His experiences altered his attitude to life and increased his respect of the individuals he still had in it. Clint confronted the terrible reality of losing more loved ones as he grew older. His anguish felt more weighty with every passing. Losing relatives and close friends always hurt, and every loss took a piece of his heart. Though at times the grief seemed unbearable, Clint discovered means of coping by drawing on the strength he had always displayed over his life. For Clint, family was the most important thing. Every time he had to bid someone farewell, it pained profoundly. Still, he discovered strategies to remain ahead of such gloom, reminding himself that life, no matter how difficult, is priceless. Dealing with so much loss, Clint pondered life and death a lot. Though it never made the suffering any less, he knew that loss is inevitable in loving someone. Recalling the happy times he spent with those he lost, especially his sister Lucy, made Clint solace. Their recollections gave him resolve and enabled him to get through the toughest of days. He would often consider the value of savoring the events that define life. For Clint, his memories of Lucy and the other loved ones he lost were jewels he carried about. Little by bit, their presence in his heart helped him recover even if they were no more there. Career decline and financial troubles. As TV westerns lost appeal, Clint Walker had to adjust away from the genre after rising to fame in Cheyenne. Years of performing the tough cowboy everyone liked were spent, but Hollywood started focusing on other kinds of films as time went on. This complicated Clint's search for fresh roles. Once in demand, the westerns that had dominated TV screens were no more so actors like Clint had to adjust or fear being left behind. Clint made every effort to go into other genres following Cheyenne. He starred as a strong soldier in films including The Dirty Dozen. Though these roles demonstrated his adaptability, they never brought the same degree of success as his cowboy years. The westerns had presented Clint with a specific picture, and viewers sometimes struggled to imagine him as anything else than the tough, quiet cowboy. Clint battled to find the same degree of work he had as Westerns dropped from the scene. His cowboy limited his possibilities by typecasting. Hollywood was changing, and the kinds of parts being presented didn't always fit Clint's screen image. Though gifted, the business moved fast, and many performers like Clint were left looking for their place in this new terrain. Financial difficulties. With fewer acting opportunities came financial difficulties. Clint, like many actors, had to adjust to the reality that his income wouldn't be what it once was. He faced economic challenges as his career declined, especially as big roles became scarcer. Managing his finances in later years became increasingly important. Clint was known for living a modest life compared to some of his Hollywood peers, which helped him maintain stability, but it was still a tough adjustment. Clint tried to reinvent himself several times, hoping to find new projects that would bring back his former success. However, many of these projects never took off. Whether it was new TV shows or films, they didn't capture the same magic that Cheyenne had. He reflected on Hollywood's shifting landscape with some frustration, recognizing how hard it was to stay relevant in such a fast-moving industry. The tragic impact of aging. The physical toll of aging got more difficult to overlook as Clint Walker grew older. The robust, tall cowboy viewers formerly knew on film started to have problems with general health and movement. His body was not as strong as it previously was, and once simple chores became more difficult. Aging affected Clint emotionally as much as it physically. He was adjusting to the realities of getting older. Emotionally, Clint found aging difficult, particularly given he had spent so many years viewed as a symbol of power and toughness. Growing older meant losing freedom, which was particularly difficult for someone who had always taken great satisfaction in his self-reliance. In interviews, he expressed how hard it was to fit into this new phase of his life, especially since he had always been the cowboy able to meet any obstacle head-on. Final days and death. Clint Walker chose to fade from the limelight in his final years. Having spent decades front of camera, he resigned from performing and decided to lead a more sedate life. One of Clint's main interests, nature, was his delight during most of his retirement. He liked the outdoors, and he discovered solace in pursuits like trekking and mountain exploration, where he could be away from the bustle of Hollywood. Clint prized his time with family and his privacy. Having spent so much of his life in public view, he now savored the small pleasures of daily existence. He stayed out of the public in his last years, sporadically conducting interviews, but generally leading a quiet and contemplative retirement. Just days before his 91st birthday, on May 21, 2018, Clint Walker passed away. Heart failure claimed his life. He passed away quietly at his house surrounded by relatives. For many admirers who had grown up with his performances in Cheyenne and other films, his death signaled the end of a generation. For those who appreciated his work, the news of his death nonetheless had a great impact, even though he had disappeared from public view years before. Tributes from both fans and fellow performers started flooding in as soon as word of Clint's passing surfaced. Many recalled him for his legendary cowboy roles as well as for the gentle and modest man he was in real life. Hollywood celebrities who have collaborated with Clint or found inspiration in his work expressed their sympathy and related memories of the influence he had on their life and careers. The death of Clint was a very emotional event for longtime supporters. For generations, he had been a symbol of bravery, honor, and fortitude. Many supporters shared tales of how much Clint and his characters meant to them on social media and fan sites to show their grief. Clint Walker's legacy and enduring influence. Unquestionably, Clint Walker changed the Western genre. He helped define the archetype of the tough, silent cowboy, a man who stood for justice, honor, and fortitude. By his performance in Cheyenne and other films, Clint became a permanent emblem of the American West, impacting not just his contemporaries, but also next generations of performers. Numerous contemporary filmmakers and performers have mentioned Clint Walker as their inspiration. Reruns of the show still attract Cheyenne viewers, hence his work in the city is still relevant. Western film festivals helped to preserve his legacy. Fan communities, internet forums, and conferences whereby people still honor Clint's contribution to popular culture helped to celebrate his impact on the Western genre. Active fan pages and memorials honoring Clint continue to be shared by both new generations of viewers and longtime supporters of the cowboy who gave the screen so much heart. By means of these honors, Clint Walker's memory endures and reminds all of us of the ongoing influence of a real Western hero. Clint Walker's legacy will live on, reminding us of his incredible talent and strength. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on your favorite stars.